This relief artwork of an Indian warrior playing the game of lacrosse is a graphic illustration of the power and the grace that are inherent in the game. Hi everybody, I'm Leif Elsmo, and for the next hour we're going to take an inside look into the game of lacrosse. We're going to cover all facets, beginning with the rules and regulations, into the fundamentals. We'll show you the players and their positions, and we'll talk expert technique and strategy with two of the game's best coaches, Richie Moran from Cornell and Don Zimmerman from Hopkins. You know, lacrosse has no equal when you talk about tradition and heritage in this country. And we're in the Lacrosse Hall of Fame right now, surrounded by all the names that made this sport great. Names like C. Marklin Kelly, whose name is on this trophy, given to the game's best goalie every year. But C. Marklin Kelly was only one of many names that made this sport great. Lacrosse is the oldest sport in North America, with its origin dating back to the 1400s. It didn't receive much notoriety until the 1600s, when a Jesuit missionary saw the Hurons play it and mentioned it in a report to his superiors. He stated little about the actual play of the game and seemed to be intrigued by the stick the Indians used. He likened the stick to the crosier carried at religious ceremonies by a bishop. Thus, the name lacrosse evolved. Indian lacrosse was a mass game, and often teams were made up of 100 to 1,000 Braves on each side. The goals were usually 500 yards to a half-mile apart. However, on occasion, the goals could be separated by several miles. Usually a rock or tree was considered the goal, and a score was recorded by hitting the rock or tree with a ball. Some tribes used goalposts 6 to 9 feet apart, and the ball had to pass between them for a score, much like today's game. Games lasted from sunup to sundown and stretched over the course of 2 or 3 days. Lacrosse games were originally used to toughen the Braves for actual combat. Sometimes games were played between two tribes to settle their differences. It wasn't until the early 1800s that the French pioneers started playing lacrosse seriously. With their participation in the sport came the first signs of turning lacrosse into a more civilized game. The French adopted set field dimensions, limits on numbers per team, and some crude rules. Lacrosse now had its beginning, and little did the French know that they would be given credit for being the forefathers of lacrosse, along, of course, with the Indians. In the early 1900s, lacrosse became recognized as a force to be reckoned with. It was during this time that lacrosse was first played in Olympic competition, and the United States Intercollegiate Lacrosse League was formed. In 1926, the USILL was replaced by the United States Intercollegiate Lacrosse Association, which is still the governing body today. Lacrosse continued to grow in America during the mid to late 1900s, and today the game is played by over 175 different colleges and universities. The number of teams keeps growing, with continued interest and excellent players being turned out year after year. Today, lacrosse is played extensively in the United States and Canada, and to a more limited degree in England and Australia. The sport itself is one of the great team games on the American sports scene. Nearly everyone who has played it or watched it as a spectator loves the game. Lacrosse gets in your blood because it's such a fast-moving and exciting sport, and has been accurately characterized as the fastest game on 2 feet. It's a beautiful game, too, above all for the skill of the stick handlers in throwing or catching either long loping passes or bullet-like shorter ones. But that's just the beginning. There are frequent changes in the action when the defensive team gets possession of the ball and dashes downfield. The dodging and stick checking, the finesse and the power, the quick shot at the goal, the amazing saves of a good goalie, and the sensational shots that beat his best. The physical nature of the game can be quite alarming, with sudden body checks that send shivers down the spine of spectators, and all in a flow of action that is candidly exposed, all in the open, so that the knowledgeable fan can follow and appreciate the fine points of strategy and tactics.
When learning any game, you have to start with the fundamentals. And today we'll teach you about the lacrosse stick and how to use it. We'll talk about the positions and how to play them. But first, we want to discuss the rules. And no better place to start than with the field of play.
No matter how advanced a player or a spectator you become, the fundamentals of lacrosse that you learn never lose their importance. The lacrosse field is a rectangle 110 yards long and from 53.5 yards to 60 yards wide. The field is broken up into several areas by certain lines. One line divides the field exactly in half. At the beginning of a game and after each goal is scored, the ball is faced off at the midfield line on the X spot. The wing areas hold the wing midfielders until play starts, to give the center midfielders time to control the face-off. The two goal areas are 6 feet square targets, and they're exactly 80 yards apart. They're contained in a crease area that is 18 feet in diameter. No player on the offense can enter that crease. A ball must pass completely over the plane of the goal to score. The restraining area holds all players other than midfielders during a face-off until possession is awarded. It is also an area used to guard against stalling tactics, when after a warning by the referee, the offense must keep the ball moving inside the restraining box or lose possession. There is free substitution, either on the fly or during a dead ball situation. And all substitutions must occur through the penalty box, which is shared by both team benches, which are on the same side of the field. Penalties are usually 30 seconds or 1 minute in length, although they can be longer if severe enough. Each team fields 10 players, 3 attackmen, 3 midfielders, 3 defensemen, and a goalie. Each team must remain balanced, maintaining onsides by keeping 3 men on the attack end of the field and 3 men plus the goalie on the defense end of the field. The game is played in 4 15-minute quarters. The clock stops when the ball leaves the field or when the play is stopped for a penalty infraction. The object is, of course, to score the most goals, with direction of play changing at each quarter break. If the score is tied at the end of regulation, the teams play into a sudden death situation. Modern-day lacrosse equipment has never been more sophisticated or effective. The shoulder pad is designed to offer protection and freedom of movement, and is so flexible and lightweight that the player feels like he's almost wearing no pad at all. The arm pads offer the lightest and most flexible protection for the elbow and forearm, and they're constructed of elastic and foam, providing comfort while being form-fitted and slip-proof. Brine lacrosse gloves are the most popular in the world. All models provide the player's hands and wrists with excellent protection, yet leave the wrists and fingers free to move quickly and handle the stick surely. The helmet is the most innovative and advanced piece of protective equipment ever offered to the game of lacrosse. Molded in a one-piece shell, it has every conceivable comfort factor.
back line. The equipment that's being used, I think the helmet is, with a longer mask has been a great help. It's protected the face much better. Utilizing mouthpieces now is another feature that I think is very, very important. We've gone to a harder helmet so that if a player is hit by a ball or hit by a block, there's not going to be any effect to that player. And that's, I think, an advantage. So we've made some good changes. The shoulder pads have adjusted much better to the player. Before you were utilizing various types of shoulder pads that really were not the type that are used for a game like lacrosse. Lacrosse has blocking in it, has contact in it. So we've made some good adjustments in that kind of situation.
Now that we've learned a little bit about the rules of lacrosse and we've taken a look at the field of play, let's look at the positions themselves. And there are 4 basic positions: the goalie, 3 attackmen, 3 midfielders, and 3 defensemen. Let's take a close look at the attack position first. The sticks I have right here are the tools of the trade on the attack end of the field. This is a Magnum stick. It's new out by Brine just recently, and as you can see, it's very well cut for control. Very small down by the throat, and excellent for controlling a ball through heavy traffic in the defense area. The stick I'll be using is a shotgun, slightly modified from the Magnum, only in that it's a little bit reinforced on the walls for more strength, slightly wider in the throat area, an excellent all-around stick for midfielder or attackman. The thing to remember about the attack position is that you are controlling the offense. You are the skilled position on the lacrosse field. It's your primary responsibility to score goals.
The attack man has got to be the type of individual that's got to control your offense. The midfield is going up and down the field. There's a situation where we're changing midfielders much more than we would be changing attack personnel. So the attack man is going to run the offense. He's going to establish the continuity that's necessary for you in your offense. He's the person that's got to be the top feeder. He's got to have the ability to come around lefty-righty. He's got to be strong on the crease, because with the type of game that's now played, you're going to have to take your man every once in a while to the wing, to the crease, maybe up top, out in the midfield to get yourself open. If you just rely on just a simple move from behind a cage, you could be denied very nicely and very toughly by a defensive personnel. So the attack personnel has got to be sharp in their degree of efficiency, getting the ball to the midfielders, getting the ball to cutters, maneuvering the ball on offense.
So when the ball comes down from the midfield, the first thing you want to do is get the ball, control the game for the offense. You'll go out, you'll ask for it, and now you're in possession. We'll bring in a Brine defenseman here to show you what an attackman would be up against behind the plane of the goal. And basically there are 2 positions to be in if you're playing attack. Behind the plane of the goal, in which case you're looking mostly to feed cutters, or directly in front of the goal, which means you're a crease attackman, and there you're just literally a scoring machine. But back here, you have to be in control all the time, and you have to be very deft and agile and skilled at handling the ball, both with the left hand driving in, and you have to have the ability to switch to your right hand and drive this way. Back and right, back and forth, right and left. The move I just made across the plane of my face area is a bad move to make for an attackman, because what will happen most often is the defenseman will check it. So you always roll away from the goal, away from your defender. Make your move in here, come back, protect the stick with your body, protect it with your off hand. The defenseman doesn't want you to get past the plane of the goal, so when you start driving, if you think you can beat him, he'll start forcing you out. He'll start pushing you out. Then you go back against the grain, constantly looking behind him for cutters on the crease. That's the dangerous area, and that's who you have to hit. Working behind the goal, working the crease. The job of the attackman is to score and to hit cutting midfielders or attackmen. Now let's move on to the midfield play.
When you talk about a midfielder, the characteristics that you look for are endurance, speed, and quick thinking. A midfielder has to play both ends of the field. Not only must he put some pressure on the other team offensively, but he has to be able to get down to the other end of the field and play solid defense for you. It takes a hard-working individual to play midfield the way it should be played.
Just as there are 3 attackmen on your team, there are also 3 midfielders. The big difference is that the midfield is the transition part of the game. Not only do they play attack and offense, they also play defense. The key to a midfielder is he has to be versatile. He has to be strong and, of course, have the ability and agility of a good offensive player. Oftentimes, without the ball, you'll see a midi break in across the crease, take the shot, and go for a goal. That's a good offensive move for a midi. But not oftentimes does he get that chance. A lot of times, he'll be out here in front of the goal, and he'll be played tough by a defensive midi on the other end of the field. Now here, as we move a defender into position, you'll see that it looks a lot like the attack against the defense. The difference being that this midfielder has a small stick. It's not long like the defense stick because he has to play offense on the other end. But he'll be playing tough against me as I drive in again, left and go back right, working the ball out here in front of the goal, unlike the attack who's behind the goal. When the ball goes behind around the back, the primary responsibility of the midfielder out here is to cut for the feed or get the ball and go to the goal. And thirdly, and just as important, is he has to back up the play. If the attack feeds the crease area and I'm not involved, I back up the play to get the ball and maintain possession. Now we're down at the defense end of the field, and again, there are 3 defensemen at one time playing lacrosse. The 3 defensemen have a very tough order to fill. They have to guard against the quick agility of the attack player, and they do so, or they are helped to do so, with the aid of this long stick. The pole is about 1 foot to 18 inches longer than the normal stick used by the midfielder or defenseman, and there's good reason for that. As we bring in an attackman, I can show you that normally, with a smaller stick, coming in closer, I'd be up close against him. And because he's fast and quick, he can move around me and lose me, then I'm in trouble. If I have the extra length of this defense stick, I can now keep him away from me an extra 2 feet. Gives me a lot of room to correct any mistakes I might make, and that's a key to the defenseman using a long stick. Playing the position of defense, there are 2 basic differences of the 3 defensemen. Again, there are 2 attackmen playing behind the goal, so necessarily there are 2 defensemen behind the goal playing feeders. They're moving a lot. The feeder may go to his right hand. He go to his right hand now, and he might drive back. I have to keep him at bay, check constantly, check, 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 and try to keep him from making a good feed. I can never surrender my body position. At the same time, I can never commit too much to him because he'll roll to the soft side and he'll beat me to the goal. Very touchy situation for a defenseman. At the same time, when he's driving around for like a left-handed shot, as he is now, I have to watch to cut off his passing lane up here in the face. At the same time as I'm cutting out the passing lane, forcing his body out, not giving him an alley to the goal. I might force him back to his right hand and then have to compensate and come back in here. This is one of the most fascinating areas of lacrosse of the last few years, the development of the defenseman's ability to handle the ball and to really match these attackmen who have gotten so great because of the developments of sticks like the Brine Magnum. Ugh. You can see I'm not quite in shape to do this anymore. Let's move on to the goalie position. It takes a special breed of player to play the goal. Right there, stopping shots of up to 80 miles per hour. Again, it takes a special kind of guy to do that. The goalkeeper is that. He's very special. He has all the tools that an athletic player does in the offensive half of the field, but he has to do much more. He's the last resort in stopping the shots. He's protected only by the thin layer of equipment that he wears and by this 18-foot in circumference crease area that the attack cannot enter. He's protecting a goal that is 6 feet high by 6 feet wide. And what he does down this defensive end of the field is anything but defensive. He is calling out plays to his defense players the whole way through. He'll call position on the ball. He'll be in close to the pipe, constantly tapping the pipe to know where he is. He'll stand and watch the ball and call to his players, ball front left, ball front center, front right, Ball behind left, all the way around so that the players that are off the ball realize where the ball is and can better play defense for him. When the ball is shot, the goalie has the protection of this crease to move in. He can come out and move in this area. As long as he has at least 1 foot in it, he can go out and get the ball, retrieve it, and the opposing players cannot check him. He then goes on the offense by firing out the first pass that makes the transition from his team being on defense to his team being on offense. And believe me, a good goalie can make or break you. Well, we've had a chance to show you about lacrosse from its history into the fundamental areas. We've showed you the equipment involved. We've talked about the players and the positions. But now it's time to find out what it takes to be a winner in the game of lacrosse, and no better place to start than with a gentleman who in his first 2 years of coaching in the Division I lacrosse level won the national championship. Mr. Don Zimmerman, coach of the Johns Hopkins Lacrosse Blue Jays.
We run a one splits point. All right, one splits point. Dell, you go behind. Crease attackman now. Since Dell's going behind, you got to bounce out here. All right? We're coming inside with the attackman. Dell, you get the ball, dodge, flip off, and also look for the inside. All right? A one splits point. Now look, shoot the ball smart. You get the ball, you're inside. The goalkeeper's up there. Juke them and shoot it to the net.
There are basically 4 offensive sets in the game of lacrosse. The first is the 2-2-2 offense, which uses 2 attackmen behind the goal, an attackman and a crease midi in front of the goal, and 2 midfielders out top. The advantages of the 2-2-2 are to dodge from behind with the attack, or to dodge out front with your middies, and also to exploit the crease area using 2 players working together. The 2-2-2 spreads out the defense. And because of that, it's easier for the attackman to dodge from behind as it is for the middies to dodge out front. Also, when the middies are out front with the ball and are looking to dodge, you have 2 players on the crease that are looking to screen the outside shot. By screening the outside shot, we mean to place your body between the goalkeeper and the shooter's stick. Okay, we're in a 2-2-2 set. We're trying to get the ball to our midi so he can take an outside shot. But first, we'll start with the attack, driving left-handed to come back and set up for a right-hand pass. We're now into the next stage of the 2-2-2 offensive set, when our top assist man, number 6, is going to work the ball to our top shooter, number 7, clear through, and allow number 7 to take a left-handed drive and shot. We're now concentrating on the crease area. We have number 3, our crease attackman, and number 5, our crease midi. Their job is to occupy the 2 defenders to allow number 2 to dodge for himself. They also must work together to try to get open for a good, close, high-percentage inside shot. Notice they're 1.5 yards apart. They're stacked on the opposite pipe from the ball. Number 5 steps up to number 3, who pops out for his left hand. If he's not open, he goes right back and sets a pick for number 5. The 2 inside men must work together. We're now concentrating on the relationship between our shooter, number 7, and our screener, number 3. It's very important that our shooter have an accurate shot and aim the outside shot at the feet of number 3. Also, number 3 must fight to position himself to get into the proper and most advantageous screening position to block the goalie's view. Okay, we're in the 2-3-1 set now. We've taken one of our crease men and we've taken him off and put him on a wing. We have one attackman behind now. We've moved the other attackman to the opposite wing, and we still have two middies out front. One crease man, and it's the 2-3-1 offense. Two out top, three across the face of the goal, one behind. We're in the 1-4-1 set now. We've taken one of our middies. We bumped him down to the crease where we have a stacked crease. Two wingmen, one behind. The strength of the 1-4-1 is to free up an isolation dodge from number 7 out top. It also puts two shooters on the wings. Also, it gives you inside work with two men looking for the high percentage shot from the crease area. Now we're in a 3-1-2 offense. Three midfielders out top, one crease attackman in front of the goal, two attackmen behind the goal. From the 3-1-2, we can run three-man plays with our midfield unit. We have a crease man that can work for himself inside, and we have two behind attackmen that are either looking to feed the inside, to work with one another, or to get the ball out to the midfield where they can run a play.
Cornell University's coach Richie Moran is universally respected for his consistent success coaching Division I level lacrosse. Today he shares his ideas on advanced technique, starting with the most offensive position on the field, crease attack.
The crease attackman is the individual on the field that's got to have the ability to be very deceptive. He's got to be able to go lefty-righty. He's got to have good stick skills. He can't key off the fact that the ball's in the air to the defenseman, because the defenseman will check him before the ball reaches his stick. So he's sort of got to be an actor. He's got to be the best actor on the field. He usually has very strong arms, good strong wrist, and the advantage of that is that if a feed comes to him and he's being tangled up by a defenseman, he can still get the shot off. Most of those people are your most aggressive people on the crease. They like to bang people, they like to knock them down, they like to bump into them, they like to screen. They're the person that carries the most courage when the ball's out front, because usually the shot's coming right at them, and they have a split second in which to screen, catch the ball, or get out of the way. And in that split second, they've got to make some great decisions. So usually that player is the player that has the ability to go lefty-righty with a great degree of accuracy, because if he's just one-handed, the defenseman will just play that side and deny him the ball. So here again, the defense would have the advantage. The ability to change direction on a crease is very important. You've got to be able to change direction with some deception, which means you have to have good footwork. And in order to establish good footwork, if you want to be a good player, get yourself a jump rope, and not one that's going to wear out after 3 or 4 months. Get yourself an expensive jump rope and work on jumping rope, work on shadow boxing. One of the fastest sports in the United States happens to be boxing, okay, or the world for that matter. And good boxers have good footwork. You want to be a good crease man, you have to have good footwork. You can't be stumbling. You can't be falling down just when somebody throws a little bump to you or a block to you or a check to you. So here again, every one of our players have jump ropes. Every one of our players works on shadow boxing in the off-season. And we also work on a speed bag. Believe it or not, the speed bag that you work on backhanded is the same technique that you'd use if you're dodging. Okay, your upper wrist, you're snapping your hands, and we work on a speed bag. We work on hand quickness. So we're talking about shadow boxing, jumping rope, and the speed bag. And the advantage of that is that we're taking something from a sport that is very quick. And if you want to be quick, there's an advantage for you to work on those 3 areas.
Okay, when a midfield unit is on offense, they have to go to their respective positions. Let's say we're in the 2-2-2 offense. We would take our ground ball midfielder and put him inside on the crease, because that's really the working position in the 2-2-2 for a midfielder. He's used to getting the ground balls. He's used to performing his role. Now he's inside, helping out with the crease attackman, trying to pick for him, and also to screen the outside shot if taken. Your other two midfielders, your scorer, is out front, where he will be able to dodge and get the shot off. Your assist man or your playmaker has to also be out front to work the ball to your scorer and then be able to read what your scorer wants to do. If he gets the ball out top and wants to dodge, your assist man has to know where to clear out so that that player with the ball can get the best shot.
The defenseman's job is really to, I'd say, take away, penetrate, agitate, take complete control of the man that he's playing against. And that means he's got to be over-aggressive. He's got to be quick. He's got to be agile. He's got to have great stick checks. And when you develop this, as the season goes on, you'll find yourself being very comfortable with a good poke check, good wrap check, the ability to get your check in, to prevent the feeder from throwing a ball very easily to somebody, which means we don't want a feeder to be able to stand still. If a defenseman's on him, he's going to poke check him. Now, we don't want to do anything that's going to be against the rules, but what we want to do is make sure that the feeder knows that that defenseman's within range. So if the feeder develops a frequency of standing in one spot, the next time the defenseman should be able to play him, which means the defenseman's got to angle and get himself in a better position to make that check or ability to take the ball away. So what we want our defenseman to be is aggressive, quick, good stick position, good stick checks, and above all, have a variety of checks so the attackman can't figure out what check's going to be used next, which means we have defensemen that we want to have 4 or 5 different checks that they can use on a feeder.
The goalkeeper is perhaps the single most important position on a lacrosse team. Any person that is willing to step in front of a 90-mile-per-hour shot has to be something special.
The goalie is probably the most courageous position on the field, okay? He's the quarterback of the team. He's the one that starts the fast break. He's the one that makes the stop. He's the person that coordinates the defense. So he's a very vital person to you. And he's got to have the components of a top-notch athlete. He's got to have the agility. He's got to have the quickness. He's got to have that endurance in the cage, because you get in a game and it's like the face-off man. People don't realize the strain that goes into a face-off man if he's got to face off 15 times a game. It's the same thing with a goaltender. If he's being shot on 25 times a game and it comes up with 16 saves, those saves are all saves with mental and physical strain. So basically, he's got to be able to adjust to that. And that comes with practice, and it comes with his ability to be a courageous, very, very tough athlete.
The goalkeeper must know where the ball is at all times, and he also must be able to communicate to his entire defense what he needs and what he wants to be done. Every defender must be in tune to the goalkeeper to know where the ball is. The goalkeeper will shout out the position of the ball as it travels around the offensive area of the field. Defenders must key to that so that they can watch their man and at the same time listen to the goalkeeper and know where the ball is. The goalkeeper must also position himself according to where the ball is. If the ball is out top, out front in the midfield, at 20 yards, the goalkeeper is higher up into the crease area than he would be if the ball was in close. The closer the ball comes to the goal, the closer the goalie gets to the goal line. When the ball's behind, the goalkeeper must turn himself around, be able to see the ball, communicate to the defense, and to know that if a feed is available, he must yell check, in which time all the defenders check the arms of the offensive players so that they can't get a shot off. As an attackman drives around the goal, the goalkeeper must position himself to hug the pipe so that the attackman cannot shoot to the inside. In other words, he cannot shoot between the goalkeeper and the near post. He's got to make the attackman shoot to the far post, and hopefully his stick will get that shot.
After showing you the advanced techniques, it's now time to move into the area that again proves whether you're going to be a winner or a loser in the game of lacrosse, and that's the area of strategies.
The face-off is another very important part of the game of lacrosse, simply because if you win the face-off, you're able to gain possession and put the pressure on the defense.
Okay, on this play now, there won't be a clean 4-on-3 break. The ball's going to be drawn back to the defensive side of the red team's field. The wingman will pick up the ball, and then they'll move the ball to the offensive end. Ready? Go.
Our technique with the face-off people that we use is that we would like the face-off man to try to control the ball as much as possible. Have the ball come back behind him a short distance so that he's picking the ball up with the 2 wingmen shading their people out, preventing them from getting to the ball. Or, as he's picking the ball up, have them break to the cage, okay, which means we pick the ball up, we break a wingman right to the cage. Now, if the opponents are not adjusting to that, we'll be picking the ball up on a quick move, turning, and popping the ball to an open man. And that's an advantage of breaking off the wing. Many people think that the face-off is just the two people involved in the face-off. It's not. It's a multiple group that's involved.
70% of the goals scored in lacrosse come off of broken situations. Therefore, it's essential that a good lacrosse team knows how to handle these situations. The fast break. The 4-on-3 fast break is the easiest way to score a goal in lacrosse. And to do that properly, all 4 players must know what their role is and be able to execute. Okay, we're going to go over the 4-on-3 fast break. The midfielder will pick up a loose ball in his defensive end of the field, pick a side, so that the offensive team now forms a box versus the defensive triangle. As the midi draws the defenseman, he throws it to the point man, diagonal, first look, and the shot. Okay, the second look on the 4-on-3 is for the midi to give the ball to the point man and get a return pass. And now it goes in for the shot. Because lacrosse is a physical sport, there are going to be situations in a game where a team fouls and your team is going to be up a man or down a man for a period between 30 seconds and a minute. Therefore, it's essential that you have units available to handle these situations. I think the best formation for extra man offense is the 3-3, simply because all 6 players are in front of the goal and are capable of scoring.
We like to utilize a 3-3 with multiple slides and shifts off that. We work out a situation whereby in a 3-3 we have a top-notch feeder up top, a good feeder on a crease, and above all maybe a good feeder on a wing. So as the opposition is maneuvering against our 3-3, we'll be in good feed positions. And the man up top really gets the ball maneuvering. He can find the open man as the zone is shifting. So what we'll be doing is utilizing a 3-3 against a shifting type zone. Now as they come up top hard on our man up top, then we'll be utilizing our wing people more effectively. I think it gives you more shooting opportunities. It definitely helps you face the cage better, and it definitely puts you in a better situation to take advantage of limited coverage. So when you go in 6-on-5, you want to take advantage of the lanes and the seams that may open up that the opponent is giving you. And you can see those better as you're facing it. And that's the advantage of a 3-3.
A winning team must score between 35 and 50% when extra man offense. To do this, you have to have 6 players that play together as a unit, are unselfish to the point where they don't care who scores, but just that their unit scores, and they have a supreme desire to score that goal.
All winning coaches consider minimizing penalties a key to winning lacrosse strategy. Let's take a look now at a few of the most commonly called fouls.
He's gotta be sure, he's gotta be so